I had it all: husband, father, respected doctor. My life was laid out like a perfect blueprint. Every decision, every step, carefully made for a future I thought I controlled. Then one moment, one patient, changed everything. He was 19. Blonde hair. Blue eyes sharp as glass. His body was athletic, cut like a marble statue. He lay shirtless on the hospital bed, bruised and breathless from a bike accident. Just another ER case, or so I thought. But from the second I saw him, something inside me stirred. Something I had buried deep. The hospital buzzed like usual. Beeping monitors. Nurses darting past. Antiseptic hung in the air. I was reviewing patient charts when a nurse rushed over. Dr. Marcus, male patient, bike crash. Minor wounds but needs attention. I nodded. Calm. In control. Always professional. I pulled back the curtain, expecting routine. Instead, I froze. There he was, sprawled on the bed. Sweat and dirt clung to his golden hair. His skin gleamed under the fluorescent lights. Even with a bleeding arm, he looked untouchable. Good afternoon, I managed, masking my surprise. I'm Dr. Marcus Hayes. What's your name? Andrew, he replied, voice calm, confident. Andrew Collins. I cleaned his wounds in silence, trying to focus. But I felt it, the way he watched me. I'd seen admiration from patients before. At 6 feet 4 inches with a fit build and dark skin, I knew I stood out. But Andrew's gaze held something different. It wasn't casual interest. It was deeper. Curious. Intense. He flinched slightly when I dabbed at the gash on his arm. His skin was warm under the gloves, and every time our eyes met, my thoughts scrambled. Hurts much? I asked, trying to reset the tone. A little, he said with a smirk. I've had worse. I smiled, polite, professional. Tough guy, huh? He chuckled, a sound too smooth for a hospital room. You probably see worse every day, right? Part of the job, I replied. Doesn't mean I take any of it lightly. He tilted his head, messy hair falling into his eyes. You're not like other doctors. You seem real. Like you actually care. His words landed deeper than they should have. I didn't respond. Just kept stitching in silence. When I glanced up again, he was still watching me. That same soft smile on his lips. Not flirtatious. Not forceful. Just present. Thank you, he said quietly. It's my job, I murmured, but I meant it more than I let on. As I packed up, something about him lingered. Most patients came and went, just another day in a long career. But Andrew made it hard to walk away. The next morning, I found myself checking on him more than necessary. His smile lit up when I walked in. My stomach tightened at the sight. Dr. Hayes, he said one afternoon, teasing. All this attention, do you treat all your patients this well? I laughed it off. Just making sure you're healing. Well, I appreciate it, he said, his voice dropping ever so slightly. It's nice, having someone like you around. That pause. That tone. My hands froze mid-chart. I looked up. He was serious. Focused. Curious. Can I ask something personal? He said. I hesitated, then nodded. As long as it's not too personal. Are you married? The question hit harder than expected. My throat tightened. I am, I said, keeping it clinical. Why? Andrew shrugged. You just seem like someone who has it all figured out. I laughed, but not out of amusement. Life's never as perfect as it looks. The conversation dropped. A few minutes later, he shifted in bed, wincing. Could you help me to the bathroom? He asked, wry smile intact. Of course. I placed a hand behind his back to help him sit up. The feel of his body against mine, too much. Too close. I told myself it was just part of the job. But when we reached the bathroom, and he closed the door behind us, the air changed. His hand lingered on mine. His body just inches away. I tried to reset. You didn't need to lock the door, I said, tone firm. I'm just here to help. I know, he said softly. But I wanted a moment alone with you. My chest tightened. I should have walked out. I should have unlocked the door. But I didn't. This isn't appropriate, I said, voice quiet now. I'm your doctor. But I'm not just a patient to you, he said, his voice even, serious. I opened my mouth to deny it, but I couldn't. He stepped closer. Don't think I haven't noticed the way you look at me. The way you show up when you don't need to. His hand brushed mine again. The warmth of his skin seared through my scrubs. I backed up slightly, searching for air. Andrew, this isn't right. I'm not asking you to leave your wife, he said. I'm just asking you not to lie to yourself. I wanted to tell him he was wrong. I wanted to walk out. But then his hand moved to my chest. And I froze. He touched Lita as I helped Andrew into the bathroom, my arm wrapped around his back. I felt the warmth of his body. His muscles were tense, his breathing a little shallow. It should have been a normal gesture, routine, clinical, but it felt different. Too close. Too personal. I kept reminding myself this was just part of the job. Nothing more. But then, he locked the door behind us. That single click shattered my sense of control. The tiny, sterile bathroom suddenly felt suffocating, like the walls were closing in. "Andrew," I said, my voice low, trying to regain professionalism. "You didn't need to lock the door. I'm only here to help." "I know," he replied softly. His voice was calm, almost too calm. "But I wanted to be alone with you." He leaned against the sink, his piercing blue eyes fixed on mine. There was something unreadable in his gaze. Something that made it impossible to look away. "This is inappropriate," I said. But it didn't come out stern. It came out like an apology. Like I was saying it to convince myself. Andrew didn't back off. He took a slow breath. "I don't want to talk to you like I'm just another patient. And I don't think that's how you see me either." His words hit me like a jolt. I should have left. I should have opened that door and walked away. But I couldn't move. He stepped closer, closing the little space between us. His voice dropped to a whisper. "You think I haven't noticed? The way you've been checking on me. The way you look at me?" I wanted to deny it. I really did. But the words wouldn't come. His bare chest brushed my arm as he leaned in just slightly. I felt the heat rising in my face, my pulse racing. "This isn't right," I managed to say, but even I didn't believe it anymore. "I'm married. I have a family." Andrew's smile faded just a little, but his voice stayed soft. "I'm not asking you to leave them. I'm just asking you to be honest, with yourself, with me." Honesty. A simple word. But it hit me hard. Because honesty meant admitting that something deep inside me was unraveling. I began, but my sentence faded as his hand rested gently on my chest. The contact, even through my scrubs, sent a ripple through my entire body. "You don't have to say anything," he said, barely above a whisper. "Just, don't push me away." His fingers slowly traced across the fabric. Every inch in my skin. I knew I needed to stop this. To back away. To tell him this was wrong. But I stood still. "I've never felt this way before," Andrew confessed. His voice shook, not with fear, but with the weight of something real. "I've never wanted anyone like this. And I can't explain it, but I think you feel it too." I closed my eyes. This couldn't happen. But when I opened them, he was still there, vulnerable, honest, and just inches away. "Andrew, this isn't." Before I could finish, his lips were on mine. Soft. Warm. Patient. It wasn't a kiss that asked for anything. It was a kiss that simply offered everything. My hands gripped the edge of the sink behind me as my world tilted. Everything I had built, everything I thought I knew about myself, began to blur. When he finally pulled away, he looked at me with a mixture of hope and hesitation. "Tell me to stop," he whispered, "and I will." I couldn't say it. I couldn't even breathe. Instead, my hand reached up, shaking, and touched his cheek. He leaned into it, his eyes fluttering shut. That was the moment I knew. There was no going back. I didn't understand it. I didn't want to want it. But I did. And when his lips returned to mine, this time I kissed him back. It started slow, unsure. But as his hands moved to my shoulders, gripping me with urgency, something in me snapped. The walls of denial crumbled. I wrapped my arms around his waist, pulling him closer, until there was no space left between us. He responded instantly, deepening the kiss. His body warm, solid, real. For the first time in my life, I let go of control. I forgot about my job, my wife, my child. In that tiny, locked bathroom, there was only Andrew. When we finally broke apart, both of us were breathless. My heart thundered. My thoughts scattered. "I knew it," he whispered, his voice unsteady. "I knew you felt it too." I stared at him, unable to form words. Shame, guilt, relief, all crashing into me at once. "This can't happen," I said. But the conviction was gone from my voice. "I'm married." He didn't flinch. "I'm not asking you to leave them," he said again. "I'm not asking for forever. Just, this moment." His words echoed in my mind, ripping at the foundations I had spent years building. And before I could stop myself, I kissed him again. Harder. Desperate. Full of the fire I had tried so long to bury. His fingers tangled in my hair. My hands explored his back. Every inch of him felt like temptation and freedom all at once. We were no longer just two people. We were a secret. A confession. A surrender. By the time we pulled apart again, both of us were shaking. My name left his lips like a prayer. Marcus, he whispered. I had never heard my name sound like that before. And when I tasted the salt of his skin, heard the quiet gasp in his throat, I knew I had crossed a line I could never uncross. There was no space left between us. His lips parted, inviting me in. The kiss deepened, slow, intense, consuming. Outside that tiny bathroom, the world ceased to exist. My marriage. My career. My image. All gone for now. His body was strong but soft beneath my touch. That contrast, it made my head spin. I had never felt anything like it. Not with my wife. Not with anyone. This wasn't just desire. It was like finding something I didn't know I had been missing my entire life. When we finally broke apart, we were both breathless. Chests rising and falling like we had just surfaced from deep water. Andrew looked up at me, his blue eyes wide, filled with awe and longing. I knew it, he whispered, barely loud enough to hear. I knew you felt it too. I stared at him, unable to speak. My mind spun with emotions I couldn't name. This can't happen, I finally said, but the words felt empty, even to me. I'm married. I have a child. He stepped closer, his hands gently resting on my chest. I'm not asking you to leave them, he said softly. I'm not asking you for forever. Just this moment. That sentence hit me hard. I had spent years locking every door inside myself, controlling my thoughts, my image, my emotions. But in this moment, with Andrew in front of me, all that control was gone. Shattered. I tried again, but my voice cracked. He placed his hand on my cheek. You don't need to know everything right now. Just don't lie to yourself. His thumb brushed gently across my jaw. I should have pulled away. I should have stopped this. But instead, I kissed him again. This time it wasn't gentle. It was desperate. Honest. My hands gripped his waist. His arms wrapped around my neck. His lips were urgent, hungry, and the tension exploded into something dangerous. We were moving too fast, but I couldn't stop. I didn't want to. Our bodies pressed together, heat rising between us. The bathroom shrunk around us until all I could hear was the sound of our breathing, our gasps, his voice whispering my name like it was sacred. Marcus. The way he said it sent chills down my spine. No one had ever said my name like that before. I pressed him gently against the wall, my lips grazing his neck. His skin was salty with sweat. His fingers dug into my back, holding me like he couldn't bear to let go. For a moment, everything else faded. The world. My guilt. My marriage. There was only Andrew. And the wildfire we had both started. Tell me you want this, he whispered, trembling slightly. I pulled back just enough to look into his eyes. The vulnerability there almost undid me. I don't know what I want, I said, voice raw. But I know I can't stop. His lips curved into the smallest, saddest smile. That's enough, he murmured. He pulled me in again, and I let him. Our hands, our mouths, our bodies spoke the things we couldn't say aloud. Things too heavy to admit, too dangerous to name. Time vanished. The tension between us gave way to surrender. We moved in rhythm, breathing each other in. Every kiss, every touch set off another fire inside me. The years I had spent denying this part of myself, hiding it beneath routine and responsibility, were crumbling. He gasped softly when my hand ran down his back. His head fell against my shoulder, his body arching to meet mine. We were lost in a moment that neither of us had expected, but both had needed. He whispered my name again. And it broke me. I wasn't the man I thought I was. I wasn't the perfect husband, the flawless doctor, the father who always knew what to do. I was just a man. Terrified. Flawed. And pulled into something I couldn't explain. Eventually, we stopped. The room fell quiet. Only our ragged breaths filled the space. Andrew leaned against the wall. His face was flushed. His chest rising and falling rapidly. His hair was a mess of golden curls. He looked at me with something between triumph and vulnerability. And I couldn't meet his eyes. I turned to the mirror, gripping the edge of the sink so tightly my knuckles turned white. I stared at my reflection. Sweat clung to my skin. My usually calm expression was gone. My eyes, they were full of guilt. Full of confusion. Marcus? Andrew's voice was soft behind me. He moved closer, brushing his fingers lightly along my arm. Are you okay? I repeated the word like I didn't understand it. Okay? I turned to face him, the weight of everything crashing down. What just happened, it can't happen again. His face shifted. The smile disappeared. His jaw tightened. Why not? He asked, still gentle, but his voice carried pain now. Because you're married? Yes, I snapped, more harshly than I intended. And because this isn't me. This was a mistake. He flinched. I saw it in his eyes, the hurt.
I'm stuck, he whispered. He ran a hand through my hair, unable to look at him. I don't know, he admitted. I just know I can't do this. I have a wife. A child. I can't throw that away. Andrew stepped closer, locking eyes with me. I'm not asking you to throw anything away, he said. I'm not asking for your future. I'm asking for your honesty. How could he be honest when he didn't even understand what he felt? My whole life had been built on certainty. On rules. On knowing exactly who he was. And now, in a single afternoon, everything was broken. He can't, he said finally, stepping away. He just can't. His shoulders dropped. His voice barely above a whisper. Okay. I won't push you. But don't pretend this didn't mean anything. Then he turned and unlocked the door. Without another word, he walked out. And he stood there, frozen, with the memory of his hands on my skin and the silence between us screaming louder than anything he had ever heard. After Andrew left the bathroom, he stood there for what felt like forever. His words echoed in my mind. Don't pretend this didn't mean something. But that's exactly what he tried to do. The days that followed were torture. I avoided him, assigning other doctors to handle his case. I told myself it was the right thing to do, the professional thing. But the truth was simpler. I couldn't ever to see him. Because I could still feel him. His lips. His skin. His voice whispering my name like it meant something sacred. I kept hearing the click of the bathroom door. Kept seeing the look in his eyes when he walked away. At home, he was a ghost. My wife noticed. She always did. You've been quiet lately, she said one night at dinner. Is everything okay? He forced a smile. Just tired. Work's been overwhelming. She nodded, accepting the excuse. But the doubt in her eyes was sharp. She could sense something deeper, something unspoken. And she wasn't wrong. He had always tried to be the good man. The good husband. The good father. But suddenly, that image felt like a lie. The guilt didn't come in waves, it lived in me. Back at the hospital, I kept my distance. Until one afternoon, I turned a corner and saw him. Andrew. He was in a wheelchair, waiting for discharge. The sun hit his hair just right, casting a golden halo around his head. He looked peaceful, until he saw me. His face lit up, hopeful. But when he didn't return the smile, the light faded. Dr. Ayes, he called softly. He froze. Andrew, he said, my voice sharp with restraint. How are you feeling? Better, he replied, his eyes searching mine. Can we talk? He shook my head. I don't think that's a good idea. I'm your doctor. That's all. He flinched. I saw it in the tension in his jaw. Is that really how you feel? He asked. He hesitated. It has to be, he said finally. And walked away. But his eyes, they stayed with me. That look of betrayal. Of quiet understanding. Like he knew I'd made my choice, and it wasn't him. When discharge day came, he almost didn't go to his room. But something inside me told me he owed him more than silence. When he stepped in, he was sitting on the edge of the bed, wearing jeans and a plain white shirt. He looked young. More fragile than before. As if without the hospital bed, he was just a boy again, one who'd risked everything to be seen. Ready to go? He asked, keeping my tone neutral. Yeah, he said, standing up slowly. Thanks for everything, Dr. Ayes. The formality could choke me like a knife. Take care of yourself, Andrew. He paused, looked up one last time. You too, he said. And then he was gone. Weeks passed. But Andrew didn't fade. He tried burying myself in work. Long shifts. Sleepless nights. Anything to drown out the memory of his kiss, his touch, the way I'd looked at me like he was more than a title. At home, things got worse. The space between me and my wife grew wider. I told her he was tired, overworked. But the truth was, I couldn't bring myself to touch her. Not when my body remembered someone else. Andrew had exposed a part of me I'd spent my entire life denying. Now, He couldn't hide from it, even if he tried. One night, after tossing in bed for hours, he reached for my phone. He didn't know why. Maybe to confirm I've moved on. Maybe to convince myself he had imagined everything. But there I was, on social media. Smiling. Laughing. Surrounded by friends. And yet, as he stared at the photo, he felt an itch in my chest he couldn't name. Relief? Regret? Jealousy? He put the phone down, my heart heavy. He had made my choice. And now he had to life with it. Life continued. The hospital. My family. My routine. But he was not the same man anymore. Andrew had changed me. He didn't used to awaken something inside me. He reminded me that he was human. Not perfect. Not controlled. Not untouchable. Just a man. A man with flaws, secrets, and longings he didn't know how to face. He had kissed someone he wasn't supposed to. Felt something he didn't understand. And walked away from it all, pretending he could forget. But the truth was simple. He couldn't. And deep down, he wasn't sure he ever wanted to.